In this video, we're going to look at the new live macro feature added in MagicQ v1923 onwards. So let's take a look at it. In the MagicQ software here, we've introduced this new live macro, which can be used for any console function. So to activate it, you hit the control button and your big go button below the crossfader. You can do this on consoles and PC systems. Control, hit the big go button. You'll see under your status box here, you now have a blue bar. What it now means you're in record macro mode, so you can now push some faders up. So I'm going to run up these three playbacks here, and I've got the spot selector ready. Going to select the red palette in open and in the fan out position. Then I'm going to hit my big go button again, and you can see the blue bar has disappeared. It's stopped recording my live macro. Hasn't outputted yet. It's just stopped recording. And when I hit the big go button again, it now outputs that change. So you can see it's run those three playbacks and the palettes simultaneously all together without any time instantly. So allowing you to execute multiple things all in one go and build them up. And now you can set the big go button to always be your live macro button rather than having to do control and press the button. In the setup window, view settings, playback, set your crossfade button function here to live macro. Once you set that to live macro, still works in the same with three presses. First press puts you in the record mode, so I can now take these two playbacks down, activate this playback, activate that one to 50%. Second press takes you out of record mode. Third press executes your live macro. Now you can copy and use these live macros, so when you execute a live macro, it runs the macro, but it gets rid of it. It's a temporary only macro. So if I record another one, press the button, and I say run up these two playbacks and bring this one down to 50%, pressing the button again, which stops the record of my live macro, but I haven't pressed it the third time yet to execute, so just stop the record, press my macro window and go to view macros and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the window. The last unused macro available in your list will be your live macro. Now, if I press my go button, that macro will disappear, like so. It's executed it, so it no longer keeps it. But if you press and go into record mode, you can see instantly there's my macro appear. If I make some changes, so to these playbacks here, like so, press to stop the record, so there's my live macro. Now at this point before you execute, you can copy that live macro, copy that there, and of course when I hit the go button, my live macro at the bottom disappears, but my copy remains. So you can copy any of your live macros before you execute them. This obviously means then that if I shift release these playbacks, I can keep running that live macro to execute those things that I did in that live macro. And I can of course view data and see what the actions inside there, which is moving fader levels. Of course, if you've done things like activate palettes, you'd see those inside the live macro as well. Of course, macros, you can rename them. So I can set on that and call that PB activate for 5, 7, and 8. So I know what my live macro is going to do. Of course, macros in the macro window, you can activate via the macro window in a Qstat using Qstat Macros. So again, shift release. If I go into this chase here and I go to step 2 and look down here, we can find the letter which is used to activate macro. So it's B and then the macro number. Helpful if I remembered it. So if we go back to this window, it is macro 427. So in the box here, if I type B427, enter, not BB, and then I execute that chase. When it gets to a second step, you can see it executes my live macro. So that's live macros in MagicQ, available in MagicQ v1923 onwards.